3 games left, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow. They win out. They need help, but I do believe they'll be in. So I want to start it off with that. That's my context.
Okay. I don't know why you would believe they're going to win out. I
said if they win out.
Yeah. But that's where the despair comes from is I haven't won back-to-back going over 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's late September, early October. So I don't know why I would believe that they're going to win 2, let alone 3 games in a row to make the playoffs. And even if they do, chances are they won't. I know how they stack up. This was a measuring stick game. Mm-hmm. According to them, this was a measuring stick game. So the only conclusion is you don't stack up. You don't measure up. You're not good enough. 500 yards allowed for this defense. Healthy front seven got gashed and bullied and pushed around all day. You could explain some of the secondary stuff, but to get gashed and bullied and beat up on the ground that way is discouraging. And then offensively, I'm not trying to tell you they played a bad game offensively. They scored 34 points, but you can't take quarter plus off. You can't go in the second half and score your first touchdown when you're already down 2 touchdowns.
Right.
I get it. It's one of those days where you don't want to blame an offense that scores 34 points. But, John, when you come out in the second half and go punt, 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 field goal, and you're down 2 scores now, the game's over. You had to go score for score. That was what that game turned into. Love it or hate it, it turned into a shootout. And Detroit taking off the third quarter, being outscored 17-0. That was the ball game.
And we talked about this. What were some of the keys we needed to see Dan Campbell his decisions? And I thought the field goal to start the game, I'm like, okay, all right, he's willing to take the points, even though we thought this was going to be a touchdown for touchdown game. And then they missed the field goal.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of play calls where I was like, ugh. And it was, 3rd and long and you run.
Yep.
Those were ones, and Dan will probably say, yeah, I didn't love that call, want it back. Okay, well, don't make that call. Like, I'm tired of hearing that, and well, we've got to get better. Well, we know that, and I don't expect, I'm not sure what we expect him to say after the game. Okay, yeah, we know you got to get better. This was, and you mentioned it, going into the second half. They're up 24-17. Mm-hmm. LA gets the ball, they hold them to a field goal, and I thought, that was a win. Mm-hmm. That was absolutely a win. 11 plays, 41 yards. They took almost 6 minutes, but they only come away with 3 points. And I thought, okay, let's pick up where we left off in the first half. And the offense to start the second half was terrible. 3 plays, 5 yards. 3 plays, minus 12 yards. 3 plays, 3 yards. That's their first 3 drives. They only touched the ball twice in the second quarter. And on the flip side, that was where you felt like LA just bullied the Lions. They got bullied in the third quarter, and it ended up being to a tune of 17-0 in the third quarter. That was the game.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah, you can score 10 points in the fourth. Doesn't matter. You're trailing the whole way. 2 scores most of that time. 248-539-9797. Just your overall takeaways from that football game and how you're feeling today. Let's get to Joseph in Flint. Joseph, you're on 97.1.
How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
My problem is they didn't stick to the game plan. They got Montgomery out there and just bullied him in the first quarter. And then they just stopped giving him the ball. They didn't give him the ball to the second half. In the fourth quarter. They kept it wasn't Jameer's game. It was Montgomery's game. They should have kept running him. They couldn't stop him. They was bullying. They was running. They had the trenches. They was winning the trenches game. That's all they had to do was keep running that ball. Kept Stafford off the field, and they would have won the game.
He only ran 7 times in the game, to your point.
Yeah, but he won. He in the first quarter.
No, I got what you're saying.
He was running the ball. He was running the ball very well, and then they just stopped doing it.
Yeah, I don't know how many carries he had in the second half, John. I'm trying to recall if he had more than a carry or 2 the entire second half. You know?
Yeah, I don't know what the breakdown was.
He had the direct snap. He had the touchdown at the end in the Wildcat. I think that might have been his only second half touch. I'll have to go back through and check.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs is a guy that has to have the ball in his hands. There's no question about that. You don't just have to hand him the ball. You can throw the ball. We've learned that over the course of his career, but we've seen that, especially last week where he had more yards catching the ball than he did, running it. And it's just, he has to have his touches. I think that's the best way to say it about Jahmyr Gibbs. He has to have his touches, but there's ways to get him the ball in space to where he doesn't have to try and avoid guys. And when you're talking about in the second half, right, it's where they were featuring Gibbs out of the backfield, you weren't getting anything from your left guard.
Yeah.
And that was a gigantic hole at the line of scrimmage. I thought Ratledge, okay, I think he played okay, for a rookie, and, he's not a rookie anymore. It's, 14 games in. I thought Graham Glasgow held his own, but that left guard spot just was an absolute hole in the line of scrimmage. Couldn't get to the second level of linebacker. That's why you weren't getting anything outside, because he couldn't get to the linebackers. And they got linebackers that can run. Mm-hmm. Not an easy thing to do, but he couldn't get there at all. Wasn't even close. And in pass protection, just broke down. I know they only gave up one sack.
It was his sack.
Yeah, but there were a number of times where even on the, when J-Mo tries to make an unbelievable catch down the field, Jared Goff is getting hit as he throws the ball. And I thought Goff played a pretty good game.
I did too.
And the problem is every time he's throwing the ball, and if you're going to get the ball downfield, love the fact that they scored a touchdown over the top. That was great. And the protection was good.
Too. Yeah.
But you've got, against the Rams, you're going to have to be able to do that more often. There were guys that were open. And J-Mo, if that ball is just a little bit better thrown, not on him, the fact was he was being hit while he threw it.
Were you surprised we didn't see more Miles Frazier, given how much Cologne struggled, and knowing they said they were going to rotate the two of them?
Yeah, he only had 13 snaps. I was perplexed, maybe is the best way to put it. Yeah, perplexed as to why we didn't see him more, especially if they were going to try and run the ball. He, last week, showed that he is proficient at run blocking.
First half, I felt like there was enough of a pocket for Goff. Not always perfect or clean, but I thought the first half, they did a nice job giving him time to set stuff up. And he actually did a decent job extending a couple plays, which is rare for him. But the point of this game was you had to be better than just one half. Mm-hmm. That's an MVP caliber quarterback on the other side. Your defense is missing two safeties in a corner, and inexplicably your healthy front seven's getting run on. That turns into a shootout. Like it or hate it turns into a shootout. And the Lions offense goes punt, field goal, like
shoot blanks in the third quarter.
It's done, man. You got to come out of halftime and keep playing.
Yeah.
I thought one of the more critical moments in the game was allowing the field goal before the half.
Yeah, because they were up 10. They could have been up 10 at the half.
You're walking into the locker room different. The Rams are different. Maybe the Rams game plan a little bit different for the second half. When you're within a score, when you're on double digits, sometimes coaches will panic. 30 seconds. You scored with 30 seconds to go, and you couldn't hold them. You give up a big play when that's the last thing you should do.
Think about this. The Lions had a 10-point lead, to your point, right at the end of the first half. The Lions had a halftime lead in this football game. How many yards did the Detroit Lions run for in a game where they had a halftime lead? 70 on 3.5 yards a carry. You want to know why this team's not where they were a year ago? Last year's team wins that game if it's a shootout. Last year's team runs for 150 yards. This year's team's puttering along at 3.5 yards a carry and stalling out because they can't run the football. And second half, they ran 2.5 yards a carry with a lead.
I will say this, too. I like the running on third downs to set up for fourth downs to a degree, but the 3rd and 11 Gibbs run, teams know your tendencies. Teams study your tendencies. The book is out that the Lions like to run on 3rd and long sometimes, and teams are prepared for that. They were ready for that. There was no fooling there.
Phone calls, I see the lines lighting up. Pages of ticket text, we're going to read them. I'm just happy we haven't hit on any officiating right now. I don't know how to explain the ruling on the Parkinson touchdown. His knee is down before he gets in the end zone, and if he's losing possession, I'm not sure how that's a catch, but scored a touchdown. Either way, you weren't stopping the Rams all day anyway. If he catches it and it's at the 1 and they punch it in, doesn't change anything. And if that's not a catch, it was only first down. It's not like the Rams were having any trouble. I just have a hard time blaming officiating on a day you give up over 500 yards and go comatose in the second half. But I'm sure people will want to bring up officiating. John, I don't think there's much of a blame to place on officiating for that game. We'll take phone calls. We'll read your texts. It's 97.1. Football season's heading into crunch time, and so is your calendar. Between work, family, and game days, throw in holidays, it's easy to forget that dentist appointment you've been putting off. So if you want to start the year with a new smile, a brighter smile, now's the time. Brightside Dental's always welcoming new patients. $35 new patient special. Brightside can see you same day. 9 Metro Detroit locations to choose from. Going to the dentist doesn't have to be a pain. 1-800-PAINLESS, BrightsideDental.com. That's Brightside Dental. No judgment, just care.